caveat because the issues were always there. They would come into the center, and we would take care of them, help them as best we could. That being said, I think that with the advent of our society and the way that society is super connected now, 24/7, nothing ever turns off. Social media doesn't turn off. If you were being bullied at school, you would leave school and you were safe at home. You're not safe anymore. If you're bullied at school, you're bullied 24/7 on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. And so those kinds of things have changed. So I think that kids are also exposed to a lot of things, a lot more intense things, a lot sooner than they ever were before because of technology.
Mm-hmm.
So the beauty of technology is we can do whatever we want. We don't have to put our boots on and walk 20 minutes across campus,
Mm-hmm.
to find out who the 13th president of the United States was in an encyclopedia on the 4th floor of the library.
Right.
We look in our phones, we get it in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But the downside of it is that it never turns off when we're sleeping. So all of that does impact the way that our brain functions and how we view ourselves and how we look at ourselves. And that's never happened before.
Yeah.
So although students themselves haven't changed, they are changing because of the way that society is changing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see the same thing with athletes or what's happening now? Especially I think it's every NFL team now has a health, wellness,
yep. Yoga, meditation.
They all have it now.
NBA,
mental health professionals, mental health coaches.
Right.
They don't. They used to have sports psychologists.
Right.
But they got away from the psychologist part. Scared everybody.
Right. Right.
Now it's okay to have a mental health coach. It's actually accepted.
Right. And sought after.
Right.
Because now it's like, oh, we realize that if the game is 90% mental.
Yeah.
And your mental health isn't good.
Right. Then there's some problems there.
Let's make the connection.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, I met with somebody yesterday who played 10 years in Major League Baseball, and he says the one thing that I talk about even now, and I realize a light bulb went off. He was like, it's all mental. It's not about your heart. It's not your heart. It's your mind.
Right.
Right. It's the size of your brain, and can they handle diversity and all that?
Right. Absolutely. And probably a combination of the two, right? Because you have to have that kind of passion and that fire inside. Yeah. But if there's something going on mentally, then you gotta take a look at it. You have to pay attention. You can't ignore it and push it down and think that it's not going to pop up somewhere in your game or on the field, off the field, wherever.
So where do you see it happening now with people that are responsible for just not only students but professional athletes, college athletes? Where do you see the whole system and industry going? Do you see folks like yourself who have been in the business for 20 years? Do you think there's a whole divisions and departments that start popping up, not just for the kids that are reaching out for help, but everybody who comes through those doors?
Yeah. I can't speak for other campuses.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of mainly dealing with Southern's campus.
Yeah.
We have a close relationship with a lot of the coaches on campus. They call us, they'll say, hey, I'm worried about this particular student.
Yeah.
Can you talk to them? Or can you come talk to the team about mental health issues? Can you come teach a yoga class? Our team seems pretty stressed. Can you do a mindfulness session, a meditation session? So our center is pretty connected with the university, and the Division of Athletics is very aware of the need for the health and wellness of the athlete, the student athlete. So they call on us in various ways. So there isn't like a program in place specifically, and there isn't a department that's popped up specifically for student athletes. Yeah. But the coaches know where we are, and the coaches themselves will. So I teach a mindful life coaching, which is the thing I'm kind of spreading into now.
Right.
But I had a lot of coaches take that themselves because they not only personally benefited from it, they brought it back to their team.
What do you think about entrepreneurs? What do you think about people in business right now? I mean, even with dealing with, just even Dave, who's at a high level executive in corporate America.
Yeah.
How is the theory and the practice of what how does that apply to people in business?
Personally, I think it's critical.
Yeah.
If people say, well, mindfulness, what is that? It's a monk on top of a hill.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is this umbrella. There's lots of different facets of it. Meditation is a piece of it, which is more of a kind of focused sitting and really concentrating.
Mm-hmm.
But I think mindfulness is critical, and it's for everyone.
Mm.
Mindfulness is the ability to be where your feet are, to not let extraneous things get under your skin, throw you off your game, make you ineffective, make you reactive, right? If you're able to be mindful, then in any moment, you're going to be able to take a step back and say, oh, hold up, what's going on here? How am I reacting to this? What role am I playing in this in terms of how I'm feeling? And what's going on around me? What's the dynamic in the group that I'm with right now? When Dave comes home, my husband, I love getting into those conversations with him. He's talking to me about the dynamics of the team, and kind of how he works. And I'm always kind of, how did you react to that? And what were you thinking about this? And what do you think that person's intention was? And what do you think was going on for them? And so mindfulness and what I'm doing, I feel is a critical part in
part of it.
Huge.
I see it all the time now. I think the crossover has definitely happened.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah.
I think there's a guy out there, Gary Vaynerchuk, who a lot of people know. He's kind of trending in the market. He's kind of this leader that has written some great books. One is a Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's kind of about bringing value to people, EQ.
Yeah.
It's all of those things that it's I think he's brought in that mindfulness now to entrepreneurs. I think he's made it cool again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he's made people understand that part of it.
Yeah.
People talk a lot about, and I talk a lot about too, it's gratitude. Like, have gratitude, which is part of being mindful.
Yep.
Just think about it for a second. I think some people with meditation, I think for years it's been like, oh, well, those are for the
special people,
the crazy people at right. Those are for the crazy people at Dave Matthews concerts.
Right.
Those aren't for mainstream executive who is a heavy load on his shoulder or her shoulder.
Right.
But in retrospect, now you look at it and say, that's exactly what they need.
Right.
That's exactly what they need to get going.
And that's the thing that I love. The reason why I love teaching mindfulness is because I love teaching people what's going on inside their brain and what part of the brain gets activated when you're being mindful. Because if people knew that, I was working with someone once and I was explaining to her what's going on when she's freaking out and what's going on with her when she's being mindful in her brain. And she was like, they told me to start meditating 4 years ago. If I knew that, I would have started. I thought they were just telling me to do something, and I was just being, defiant because I didn't feel like doing one more thing that somebody told me to do.
Right.
She said, but if I knew this was why, this was why mindfulness works. It's not some kooky little, weird, ethereal thing that doesn't have a base in reality. It is the most real you can get.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just a centered space that you can get to, because you're able to kind of sift through all the stuff that's extraneous and erroneous and not helpful.
What advice would you give to an entrepreneur who's in the middle of a crisis? Their business is not working out.
Yeah.
Things around them are just falling apart.
Yeah.
They're running out of cash and capital. They're maybe not making the right decision. They can't pull their mind together to get out of that hole and that trap that they're in because they're getting pulled by people looking for money, employees walking out.
Yeah.
Like, they know that they still have a business and they have to pull it back together.
Right.
What advice would you give them?
Yeah. There's a lot that runs through my head when I think of that scenario, actually, because part of what I think about is the reflective piece. How did I get here? What things did I do? What decisions did I make that contributed to this? Right? There's that growth mindset. Not let me blame everybody else for everything that went wrong, but really, where do I stand in this? And what pieces am I continuing to do that might be contributing to this downfall?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're the president, if you're the CEO, if you're the leader of this organization, leadership comes from you, and so they're looking to you for those things. And either you maybe you faltered with team building. Maybe you faltered with putting systems in place. Maybe you faltered with spending.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, like trying to just take a step back and see what happened, what is going on, and then, trying to get the people that you trust the most and the people that are the hardest working people, the people that are going to help you to kind of pull things back in line, if you can, and listen to them.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I think as leaders, as entrepreneurs, we have this, we hold so tightly onto the idea because it's ours, it's our baby.
And we know best.
Yeah. But sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you're in this situation, maybe it's time to kind of listen to the thing that someone's been saying 4, 5, 6, 10 times that we didn't listen to over the course of 6 months or a year or 2 years. We'll finally think, oh gosh, maybe that is something I need to do. Maybe I'm not doing everything right. I need help.
I heard this. There was a great interview, and it was the former CEO, president of, I want to say, Verizon, that he was there for years and years and years, and this incredible guy that kind of came up through the ground floor.
Yeah.
And he said the turning point in my career was getting advice from a colleague or superior that was based in Chicago, and said to me, why do you get personal with people when things aren't going correctly? Like you attack them. You're not addressing the issue. You're addressing them personally. And he's like, why do people from the Northeast do that? And he goes, why don't just look at the solution? Let's talk about the solution. He says that, and he said that happened early on in my career, and I was able to kind of adjust that. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's right. And that changed everything on how I approach things. I stopped taking it personally if they were attacking the issue, if things weren't going right, because I took it personally like it was a knock on me, not
right.
And he says, and that changed everything. And I think, Denise, looking back at just being in corporate America, running a business, I see that people that have risen in the ranks in corporate America, especially the ones that become VPs and SVPs and higher up, they don't take things personally. They have a way of separating it. They don't gossip. They don't talk about people and colleagues and coworkers. There's a big separation, and huge, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it's a huge lesson for people to know if they want to move up the ladder. It's those are some of the main characteristics. Not that they're not smarter or harder working. It's their attitude. It's how they approach their job every day.
It's business.
It's business. Yeah.
And if you approach it that way, again, kind of taking a step back and thinking, okay, that was that growth mindset piece that I was talking to you about before. It's like, what role did I play in that conflict there? Or what do I need to change in order to get better? And that person just gave me feedback. Am I going to get angry with them because they gave me feedback? Or can I think, oh, maybe I do need to change something. And maybe I'm not perfect. We take things so personally all the time, like you said. You have to surround yourself. A great leader isn't someone who's the best at everything. They're the person who's the best at surrounding themselves with great people who are going to give them honest feedback, who are going to, be loyal to them, who are going to work hard for them. You have to build them up, right? And you have to trust them. So you can't just be a solo person who's going to run around like a chicken with your head cut off and think you're going to get everything done.
Do you feel that leaders have a servant's mentality? Like they're there to serve people. They don't have an attitude of you work for me, it's I work for you. What can I do to help you do your jobs?
I think in a lot of ways, leadership used to be from the top down, right? Kind of you do this, you do that, you do this. I'm in charge. Don't talk back.
Right.
But now leadership is much more linear. And team based. And so I do think that there is certainly a service piece to it. I think people have to have they have to have checks and balances, so they're someone that they're kind of, that they have to, check in with. But I do think that the service industry, or the service piece of it, the service piece of leadership is a big, huge piece, because that's where you develop your relationships.
100%.
Relationships are the most important part of building a team, not who's the smartest, who's the best. It's you're more than the sum of your parts. Like you can have the best people, but if they're not working together, the team's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And you're going to have people, infighting and sabotaging and self-serving stuff. But if the team works together, you may not have maybe the best IT person in the world, but if this person's supporting them and that person's supporting them, they're talking together, then yeah, he's going to do his best and he's going to make it work.
They can make it work.
Yeah,
and a good leader and a good entrepreneur and a good founder of a company can put those things together. So let's talk about this Sports Biz Startup Weekend. You're going to be there. You're going to be doing a session on mindfulness and what else?
Yeah, leading from the inside out.
Yeah,
basically. So that in a nutshell is understanding what makes you tick, understanding how you show up to your day, what things are going to contribute to you being successful, and what things are going to contribute to you not being successful.
As an entrepreneur
and running your own business, and how you make decisions and how you build relationships and how you create what you want, how you kind of spend your energy throughout your day. What are you saying to yourself on a regular basis? We all have inner self-talk as leaders.
Oh, I talk to myself all the time.
Yeah, right? Like sometimes out loud.
Yeah, right. It's like, what does that person have Tourette's?
Right.
What's going on? Right.
Yeah, we talk to ourselves, and so I want to know what that inner dialogue is, and I help people. We do activities to help people understand what their internal dialogue is, because what you say to yourself becomes your reality.
Yeah.
Everything you say,
so true,
ultimately becomes the outcome of your life. And so if you're not paying attention, and you don't know that there are some negative patterns in there, you'd be sabotaging yourself without even knowing it. So I help people, leaders, people who aren't leaders, but coaches, athletes. I help them kind of understand what's going on inside their head, and then coming up with some strategies to help to change them and to be more successful.
So you'll be there, Sports Biz Startup Weekend, January 23rd through the 25th, right down the street from where you live in Florida, not too far away. So you'll be hitchhiking or skateboarding or Ubering over. So Denise will be there. Go to gameplanu.org and register right up until September 1st is buy one, get one free. But Denise, how do people find out a little bit more about you?
So
besides LinkedIn, they can find you on LinkedIn.
And Zack is spelled Z-A-C-K. A lot of people spell it a little bit differently. And mymindfulnesslifecoach.com. mymindfulnesslifecoach.com. Yep. You couldn't possibly make that any longer, could you? URLs are hard to find these days. Right? I was going to put my maiden name in there, right? Live, like right. You know how many Rob Thompsons are out there? Everybody made fun of me, and I said, "Hey, give me a live. That sounds good." Perfect. It's a little self-serving, but what the hell? Why not? You got to do it. Denise, thank you. You're welcome. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for flying all the way in. For this one little show of ours. No, I'm gonna get back on the plane. Yeah, so we'll see you down in Florida in January. If you want to go see Denise and be part of this Sports Biz Startup Weekend, register and she'll be down there, and then check her out on that very long URL that she mentioned. I'll put it in the notes as well. Great. Sounds good. All right, Denise. Thank you so much. Yeah. Have a good one. Hold on here.